10 richest people that ever lived on Earth. Henry Ford, $200 billion. The founder of the hugely profitable Ford Motor Company revolutionized vehicle manufacturing and brought the car to the mass market, selling over 1 million vehicles in 1920. It's no surprise then that, after he passed away in 1947, Ford was worth the equivalent of $200 billion in today's money. Cornelius Vanderbilt, $202 billion. Born in 1794 to a struggling family in Staten Island, Vanderbilt went from rags to riches during his lifetime, building up a colossal fortune in the railroad and shipping industries, and giving much of it away later on in life. At his peak, Vanderbilt is thought to have been worth $202 billion in today's money. Muammar Gaddafi, $212 billion. In 2011, Libyan officials estimated that deposed leader Colonel Gaddafi squirreled away $200 billion in secret bank accounts, shady investments, and dubious real estate deals during his dictatorship, stolen from the country's massive oil revenues. Adjusted for inflation, this is the equivalent of $212 billion in 2016. William the Conqueror, $228 billion. The first Norman ruler of England who famously invaded the kingdom in 1066, William the Conqueror seized lands and plundered treasures from Sussex to Yorkshire that would be worth $228 billion in today's money. He spent his lavish riches on everything from tapestries to castles, including the iconic White Tower at the Tower of London. Jacob Fugger, $277 billion. Fittingly dubbed Jacob the Rich, this banker, merchant, and mining pioneer was Europe's richest man during the early 16th century. His enormous wealth enabled him to influence the politics of the time, funding the rise of Holy Roman Emperor Maximilian I, as well as bankrolling the Spanish King Charles V. Osama Ali Khan, Asaf Jah 7, $230 billion. The last ruler of Hyderabad in India, Khan was the absolute leader of the princely state from 1911 and 1948, and for a good part of the 20th century, he was known as the richest man in the world with an estimated fortune of $2 billion by the early 40s. This is the equivalent of 2% of the US economy, or around $230 billion today. Tsar Nicholas II of Russia, $300 billion. Ill-fated Nicholas Romanov ruled over the Russian Empire from 1894 to 1917, during which time he had full access to the nation's coffers, making him one of the richest monarchs in history. Not one to redistribute his wealth, a 1916 estimate of the Tsar's fortune equates to $300 billion in today's money. Andrew Carnegie, $337 billion. From humble beginnings in Scotland, Andrew Carnegie led the massive expansion of the US steel industry in the late 19th century, amassing personal fortune economists estimate would be worth $337 billion nowadays. A full-on philanthropist, Carnegie gave away 90% of his fortune to various charities and educational establishments during the last years of his life. John D. Rockefeller, $367 billion. Widely regarded as the richest American who ever lived, John D. Rockefeller founded the Standard Oil Company in 1870 and ended up controlling around 90% of the US oil business. Economist Peter Bernstein estimates that the industrialist-turned-philanthropist had a personal fortune of $367 billion in today's money. Genghis Khan, $100 trillion, personal only $194 billion. The fearsome Mongol leader conquered a mind-blowing 12 million square miles of land between 1206 and his death in 1227, more than anyone else in history. But while his hordes pillaged their way through huge swathes of Eurasia, the combined continental landmass of Europe and Asia, territory that is now worth trillions of dollars, Khan didn't hoard his spoils, choosing to redistribute the stolen loot and territory among his subjects instead. This is why his personal net worth would be only around $194 billion in today's money.